Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 17 of Levitated. To start things off today, I want to mention that I've changed a config setting in this Trousers edition of Applied Logistics. I turned off what is called insane blocking mode. It changes the blocking mode behavior to make it more compatible with GregTech machines, but we saw last episode that I broke blocking mode on our alloy smelters. So let's try it out here. If I order 30 of these, they craft in batches of 16, and now it properly gets distributed between both alloy smelters, as opposed to only doing it in one of them. So that problem fixed. Cool. With that out of the way, let's get to today's project. I would like to work our way towards the whatever end of the quest here. So we have to start by making a induction smelter that's used to process some of the higher tier materials. With the help of Applied Logistics now, making it is as easy as clicking the start button. And all the steps just happen magically behind the scenes, and we're left with an induction smelter. Nice. What tier can we make upgrade kits up to? So far, only reinforced, so I guess we will upgrade it to reinforced tier, just to make it a little bit less painfully slow. The purpose of the induction smelter is to make alloys that cannot be crafted in the alloy smelter. I think the big ones are lumium and signalum. And Indarium, I suppose, but those lead to a overworld star, which I guess is a faked nether star artifact. All right, let's see what exactly that takes. We can pin it and get rid of our old ones. So in here we need lumium, signalum, hot graphite, demon metal, and evil infuse. I think the others we already have. Elementium, terra steel, Manulin, I guess, yeah, we can make that into smelter already. All right, so I guess let's start with lumium. That has to be made by induction smelting with sand lumium blend. And lumium blend, meaningfully speaking, can only be made by combining 3 tin, a silver, and a bucket of energized glowstone. Let's set up a process to fill buckets with either glowstone or redstone or whatever fluid in order to make the various blends. I'll use 2 machines for it. First of all, a magma crucible to melt stuff, and then a fluid transposer, which apparently isn't plugged in, to fill the buckets. So the recipes will come from the interface. In fact, let's encode a recipe right now just to show it. So let's start with glowstone. A glowstone bucket is made with a piece of glowstone and a piece of glowstone. A bucket makes this bucket. That goes into the bucket filler. Ooh, that dash gets me every time. Sometimes I want to dash, sometimes I don't. Anyways, if I order a glowstone, what is this? Iron furnace, fancy. If I order a glowstone bucket, it all gets dumped into here. Then we extract from the chest, and then it's filtered to blacklist buckets into there, and whitelist buckets into there. This thing melts the glowstone, which apparently without augments takes the better part of forever. So let's get some of those. And hopefully this will speed it up a little bit. I mean, we went from 40 up to 240 when it gets its energy buffer fully filled. Still not exactly fast. Oh, looks like we can actually even melt. We can melt a lot of things in here. But oh, look, it's done. Anyways, this fills the bucket, and then we extract on blue to insert back into the ME interface to complete the craft. And now we have a glowstone, energized glowstone bucket. For the rest of the stuff, lumium was tin and what? Tin and silver. So we can probably just process the ingots. Ingots in a sag mill. I do want to import the recipe because I want to know what type it produces. So that's tin, and then likewise for silver. Because there's many different types of dust, I want to make sure we get the right type of dust. Otherwise, Applied Logistics gets confused. All right, so those go into the sag mill, and putting it all together. That makes lumium blend. Now molecular assembler. And I should be able to order a whole bunch of aluminum I like. So give me 100 of it. Yep. It even knows that it's allowed to reuse buckets, which is why you see it's making 24 energized glowstone buckets, but it only has 18 plain old buckets to begin with. It knows about bucket reuse, which is pretty clever of it. Do be careful if you have multiple recipes that use buckets. It doesn't know that buckets are not available for reuse immediately. It can schedule the use of your buckets in a way that it manages to deadlock before a bucket becomes free for reuse. So anyways, this is going to take a little while because the melting process is still not terribly fast, but that makes aluminum blend. I guess for our last step, I'll hook an induction smelter up to the ME system. I typically like to, at least relatively early on, like to have a machine available for manual use, and then a separate machine hooked up to the ME system for automation purposes. Put up the induction smelters. I did it basically the same way as our alloy smelters. There's 2 machines servicing the recipes just to speed it up a little bit. So if I request, say, 64 of this, we can make that. And in fact, it's quite fast. The bottleneck in making aluminum will definitely be the making of the blend. We can do the same thing for signalum. Make me a stack of that. Whoops, I left out a recipe. Copper. Dust. Like so. But that should then allow us to make signalum. Excellent. It's going to end up getting queued behind the glowstone here. So I perhaps need a better melter. I think most of the things that can be melted in the magma crucible like this can also be melted very fast in a smeltery. Maybe it's worth making a tiny, maybe later, but it's probably worth making a small smeltery if we find ourselves needing to make large amounts of aluminum and signalum, because not only does a smeltery not use energy, right? It only uses lava, and a pretty small amount of it at that. It's very fast at melting these various things. Like the non-metallic things melt extremely quick. But anyways, let's just accept the fact that for now we don't need a lot, so we're good. All right, I'm going to skip hop graphite because that involves the most steps. Demon metal is quite easy to make. That requires some nether brick. So I believe 4, but I'm going to get 8 pieces anyways. A bucket of lava. Make a little box, I guess you call it. It's kind of like the thing in the nether fortresses. Out of the nether brick, and then throw some gold into it. Oh, I have less gold than I expected. And we get demon ingots back. Every now and then you don't get the gold you throw in back, but most of the time you do. If we can get unlucky ones. There we go. That time it burned our gold. Whatever. Demon ingots done. Evil infused requires a enchanter and nether stars. All right, that's no big deal. Let's make an enchanter. We can also swap our machine block recipe over from the one that blows us up to one that no longer blows us up. I'm a big fan of not blowing up and being allowed to auto-craft our machines. So we'll swap that over. It uses maybe slightly more resources in the grand scheme of things, but you know, small price to pay to not explode. So anyways, we need an enchanter. Oops. And I need to put in the electrical steel recipe. The enchanter is a bit of a strange machine. In order for it to run, you see here, it requires a full set of enchantment boosting things. So I'm going to use mana pylons for this. I guess if we put them here, they're a bit less in the way. Nope, I guess that's not a valid spot for them. I guess they go all the places in enchanted. You could put mana boosters for an enchanting table. Looks like maybe 2 is just not enough. 2 more. There we go. So that gets rid of the X. It needs RF as well. And lastly, if you want to put speed upgrades in it, which I do. And these are called upgrade speed. Oh, I just don't have the recipe. I just scrapped it manually. If you want to put speed upgrades in it, it also uses grid power. But it only uses grid power for the grid, so it's not that big a deal. Lastly, put the interface there to provide it with items. Put that there, and then extract the finished product when we're done. Cool. So the Enchanter provides a couple unique things. First of all, it makes a cheaper way of making magical wood. Doing it in the Enchanter no longer uses our experience. It just crafts it. Whereas the previous way, right, it uses 4 levels. Secondly, it can make stuff like this enchanted metal, evil infused, and enchanted apples. These are used for crafting the higher tier speed upgrades mostly. In fact, I think in standard applied or in standard extra utilities, that's all they're used for. The basic speed upgrade only goes up to 4. This one goes up to 16, and the top tier one goes up to 64. But for now, I just need a couple evil infused ingots to craft our overworld star with. I'm actually going to make the next tier speed upgrade for the Enchanter because it is still quite slow without it. This recipe here is taking 6 seconds when it normally takes 30, so with 4 upgrades, it's 5 times as fast. But that's still not very good. So I'm hoping that with 15 and 16 of these, it'll get a lot better. I do that because one pretty cool thing that this Enchanter can do is actually enchant our gear, although all my gear is already enchanted. Let's make a new helmet, I guess. So make a new helmet, and if I give it another star, which I have plenty of, it can enchant it with a level 30 enchant, but it takes 30 minutes by default to do it. So giving it 16 speed upgrades brings that down to a minute 45-ish. Still a long time, but hey, it's less forever. This will be, knowing that we can use the Enchanter to enchant gear will come in handy later on when we're working on our rainbow generator. But anyways, that'll do for now. We can make our evil infused in it, so that just leaves the hop graphite ingot. This is only made by smelting hop graphite dust. Many ways to smelt it. Hop graphite dust requires, let's see, we can, if we, wait, can we make a compressor? If we can make this compressor, so the way I'm used to making it is 8 coke dust. It doesn't show it anywhere, but 8 coke dust makes 1 hop graphite dust in a industrial squeezer. That's about the only thing the industrial squeezer is good for, so you end up building this multi-block to do 1 recipe. It's not a terribly good deal. But if we can make a Tech Reborn compressor, we can get 1-to-1, which is a much better rate. And then coke dust, apparently, is there a different type of coke dust? Immersive engineering coke dust? No, that's the only one. Okay, so no matter what, oops, I guess I was hovering all that time. No matter what, we have to build a crusher. The crusher is basically like a pulverizer. It does all the recipes a pulverizer does, except it's huge and slow. With the exception, the one advantage of it can make coke dust. So I guess we have to make it just for that. But first, let's take a look at the... I already forgot what the machine was called. Compressor. So in a basic electric circuit, we can make, if we can make refined steel. That requires an arc furnace and calcite. Basalt or marble. We can technically do it, right? Do we have access to basalt or marble? I have 8 ingots from something, but we can make it in an igneous extruder or marble. Assume likewise we can, there exists some variant we can make in an igneous extruder, maybe not. Forget it. We'll I'll just make the, right? Nope. I'll just make the polka or the crusher as well as the squeezer. Starting with the crusher. I'll build it here so we can hook it up to the Applied Energistics network later if needed, or, I mean, basically I'll only batch craft with this thing, because it's, you have to literally throw items into it to get it to process, and given the speed that it runs at, with the exception of the recipes that are exclusive to it, I see no reason to ever use this machine over either a sag mill or a pulverizer. That's also not at all where the piston goes, or the hopper. So build that, hammer it here. Aha, good guess. Deform it. This turns out to be a bad place for it because that is the output port, which is very blocked. All right, tear it down, turn it around. That's better. So we'll put the output there, and then the input goes in here. It is happy to crush you, so don't hop in there like I just did unless you want to get crushed. But if you don't plug it in, you can hop in it safely. Anyways, ow. So let's go get some of our coke dust. In fact, let's just check up on this all together, make sure it's still running. Take the steel as well, you are still crafting. Add some iron to the queue. And take some of the spare coke dust, or coal coke. It seems like the coke furnace is slightly faster than the blast furnace, so we end up with slightly extra coke dust over time. But anyways, throw the blocks in there, and it takes it a long time to pulverize. It does work, it takes the same amount of time to pulverize the block as it does a single piece, so highly recommend doing the blocks. Anyways, that makes coke dust, so we need one more multi-block now, the squeezer, to squeeze that into hot graphite dust. The squeezer. So earlier I said the squeezer has like one job. That's not technically true. It does a couple other things too. Apparently it can paint a squeezer. But it can make plant oil, which is part of ethanol, among other things. But at this point, we're not going to use ethanol for power. So unless something demands ethanol for another reason, we're not going to do it. And other uses include squeezing a tiny bit of blood out of leather, or doing things at the industrial, or not the industrial squeezer, this is the industrial squeezer, that the mechanical squeezer does better. So, ignoring all those reasons, it doesn't do anything. Anyways, give it the coke dust, and remember that you forgot to plug it in. Where is its energy input? That's an awkward spot for it. There we go. And it runs. So that makes hot graphite dust. Last step is to just cook it in a furnace. So that should make us hot graphite ingots. With that, I think we are ready to make the star. So let's encode the recipe and see what it yells at us about. I know I don't have a Terra steel ingot in the ME system. I also apparently don't have an Elementium ingot. All right, so that's, let's see, I need some mana steel. I'll just get a iron, I guess. A mana steel, a mana pearl, and a mana diamond for making Terra steel. So back here, like, why don't I dash here? I wanted to dash that time, but the dash didn't work. Turn that into mana steel. I've noticed just recently that it appears like I've gone through my entire backlog of both TNT and overworld matter. So it seems like if both of my orchids are running at 100% uptime, which they basically are, we are just a hair short on. I think our mana production is up to the task if it's running 100% of the time. However, if we look at, not this, if we look at this here, it's the dispensers, like just there, it missed a beat. Every now and then it misses a couple cycles because it doesn't get a new piece of TNT in time. This dispenser is running, it's hitting, like it's placing the TNT about 90% of the time, but every now and then, like right here, it missed one, missed a couple, maybe a bit less than 90%, somewhere between 80 and 90%, I think, is the uptime of our dispenser. But anyways, what that means is that I need one more simulation, maybe two more simulation chambers doing an overworld sim, and I'm sure we'll add something later. I know we'll need thermal elemental data at some point, and that'll take up at least one overworld sim chamber, so. But point is, our mana production is just ever so slightly the tiniest bit short, but whatever. Make me a Terra Steel ingot with that, and a bunch of Elementium with this. And with those out of the way, we get 1 overworld star. Alright, so it's making the evil infused iron. How long's that gonna take? Put the upgrades in it for a reason. 14 seconds apparently. 14 seconds is about 10 seconds longer than I want it to take, but it is making 8 blocks when I need 1 ingot, so you know. I can only critique it so much. I must have put that recipe in the wrong slot. Indeed, you do not make this in an Enchanter, you make that as a crafting recipe. I think it's, yeah, it's able to figure it out that when you move the recipe that, you know, it'll look in the new recipe slot. So anyways, that makes a star. I think we're supposed to trade this with the elves for a orb of life. Sounds good. Elves. You take that. Nope. My vacuum chests wants it a little bit more than they do. And they give me this thing back. So apparently that's a scam. We're scamming them. An artifact that they may be interested in, but it's a fake artifact. Ha ha ha. All right. So anyways, we scammed the elves, got the thing. And I guess we probably have to use it. You can now travel to the overworld. You can now travel to the overworld. You can now travel to the overworld. All right. But before we can do that, I think we have to... Hold on. What does it say? Even though the old obsidian portal no longer works. Like, bad news, you need to channel the power of rainbow to do so. But the rainbow in the end, yada yada yada. Alright, well, after days of searching, you finally found it, but getting this thing working is not easy at all. Sure, you can do it manually, but... Okay, so it needs us to... We have to make a rainbow generator in order to craft a rainbow ingot. And the reason that works is because the rainbow ingot has... It's made... Wait. Right click a Bifrost block. Oh, maybe it's... Okay, no, it's rainbow stone. Rainbow stone is part of the rainbow ingot, and it has to be made in a resonator with an active rainbow generator. I don't know if it's nearby or anywhere like in the world, but it requires an active rainbow generator. So I guess that makes the rainbow generator next. Step 1 is to actually make a rainbow generator. So a rainbow generator is made from a rainbow generator. Good. I guess it just requires us to run it through the assembly controller. I don't even know if this... I guess it's to gate it behind the assembly controller, sure. And that's made from the top and bottom halves. The recipes here aren't terribly bad, but when encoding the top and bottom half, you don't have to worry about, because I think these are unique items, or at least these are items that are differentiated by metadata or item ID. So if you look at the tooltip there, after the name, it's 4508/1, and this is 4508/2. Items that are differentiated, well, first of all, items are meant to be differentiated if they are unique items by at least a metadata value. But when you dig into this, all these generators are all the same item ID and metadata value. The difference comes in the MBT data, which I apparently cannot show in JEI. But Applied Energistics doesn't quite understand that items that differ by MBT data can or cannot be substituted. Like, usually MBT data is used to hold stuff such as this sword. The MBT data... Oh, there's no actual additions in the pack. I can't show you MBT data at all. I guess I could do this. So MBT data is used to encode the enchantments on the item, as well as like the repair cost, how many times you repaired it in an anvil, on items that have RF or similarly hold a resource internally. MBT data encodes the amount of mana in it. If this was an RF holding item, it would hold the amount of RF in it, right? So when you encode a recipe with allow substitutions, it says or dictionary, but it's really all substitutions. It'll think that, you know, oh yeah, if you're asking me to craft an item, say the capacitor, this is kind of this is a weird example because capacitors are also, no, capacitors have unique metadata per tier. All right, never mind. Well, if you tell it to like craft this capacitor with substitutions, that'll say you are allowed to use any basic capacitor for it. It doesn't matter if it's charged, uncharged, or anywhere in between. But Applied Energistics throws a hissy fit if you allow substitutions on these crafts, because it's like, oh yeah, you know, the culinary generator is 4493/0, so is a death generator. So let me just put the culinary generator here and another culinary generator here, and maybe I'll try putting a death generator here and a regular generator here. It gets all kinds of confused and it'll crash your game more often than not. So when encoding the recipes for rainbow generators and any other items of this type, I swear capacitors used to be like this, where they are the only thing differentiating them, like differentiating the tiers, is the MBT data. Make sure you have OR dictionary substitutions off if you don't want Applied Energistics to cry. So I will go all the way to that. I've encoded all the rainbow generator recipes up to the handcrafted rainbow generator at least, and it's a lot of them. Let's see, we start here. So from here on down, there's 32 assemblers, so it's taken 33 recipe slots to encode all those recipes. That's a lot. This is one of the most microcrafty heavy parts of this pack. But anyways, let's see what we're missing. Gunpowder, leather, slime ball, no big deal. Silicon, organic dye, ice, snowball, and rose red. All right, so let's start with the icy stuff. So that requires a glacial precipitator to make. Rose red, I think we'll just hand make that for now. So if I get some bone meal, I'll go grow a rose a few more times, and then process this through the industrial squeezer, or not the industrial squeezer, the what's it called? The fancy squeezer, the electric squeezer from Integrated Dynamics. This squeezer. Mechanical squeezer. Because this gives us extremely high yield. Back to the glacial precipitator, it can make ice, snow, sheets, packed ice, snowballs, or snow. Technically, I guess aside from packed ice and snow sheet, well, we can technically make snow sheets with the snowman. So aside from packed ice, we can actually craft the rest of this stuff just with like pure daisies or something else. But the glacial precipitator makes it a lot both easier and faster. And I'm going to have it make ice for now. I mean, I crafted a small amount of all the stuff that we need for the rainbow generator, but I'm having it make ice afterwards because ice is one of the fuels for one of the rainbow generator machines. All right, so let's see, what else do we need? Gunpowder, leather, and slime ball. Those should be relatively easy recipes to add. Gunpowder we can craft. I guess I want to use this crafting recipe, but I don't have any spare overworld matter. We use one of these instead. You know what? I'll do this, and then I'll save an overworld matter later and just put it somewhere not in the drawer so that it doesn't get used up. Oh, the gunpowder I get is... Oh, because I'm auto-crafting gunpowder passively, and then I'm just using it up passively. I see. That's fine. Next we had rotten flesh, which apparently I only have 17 pieces of, but that's enough. This can be turned into that. And likewise, we can transmute our cactus over to slime until it gets sucked up by our vacuum chest. Smaller range. There we go. Now our cactus doesn't get sucked up anymore. Except by us. I'll set aside a chest here with a storage bus and just put our overworld matter in there. Negative priority, so basically nothing will ever be put in here except what I put in here, or if everything else fills up. And this piece of overworld matter will get set aside to craft our TNT on demand for that, I don't know, one of the generators uses it. So what remains? Silicon. I don't have a great way to make silicon on demand, because if we sag mill for silicon, all these are chance yields. What I could do is there a grinding ball that I need a grinding ball that has over 50% main output to or over 200% main output to guarantee that we get silicon. I think what I'm just going to do is make some clay, and let's make some grinding balls really quick. What's a decent one? Signalum? Sure. And then we'll just put them in here. And this processes nearly instantaneously. In fact, so fast that we're going to need extraction speed upgrades on our item conduits. Ran into an interesting problem. We can't leave blocking mode on this thing, because if I leave blocking mode on and have grinding balls, the blocking mode sees the grinding ball and it's like, well, I guess I'm not going to put items in until the grinding ball's gone. So I think that's one of the things insane blocking mode actually fixes. It ignores non-extractable slots. So like the grinding ball slot is non-extractable. Then again, the insert slot's also non-extractable. I don't know how exactly it works, but unfortunately here it just doesn't. So we're just going to turn blocking mode off. I ran into that because it was refusing to make my extraction upgrades, because it couldn't grind the coal, because it couldn't put the coal into the sag mills. So no blocking mode it is. It'll still distribute between the two. It'll just distribute less well. Basically, it'll fill up one machine before starting to send it to the next. Couple more minor recipes, like just adding one for bone meal, and we can craft this. So it has to make 15 machine chassis, but it's all automated. Just over 10,000 bytes. Hit the go button, and we can watch the things run. We should even be able to, we can hear the things run as the items get placed into our pressure chamber here. And pretty soon, I don't expect this to take long. No, I guess it has to make a lot of various alloys. No clue what these alloys are actually used for, but we're gonna let it craft for the next. It says 16 seconds. I expect it'll be closer to like a minute or two, since it has to make 200 plus alloys. As our last few alloys finish up, I think the last few generators are finishing up, and it looks like it didn't get stuck, which is very good. Almost all the time I've accidentally turned on substitutions on one recipe somewhere or another and it's gotten stuck. So this time it didn't. Very good. So that gives us a handcrafted rainbow generator. With this, if I figured out why sometimes I can't dash. Right as you take off, you can't dash if you hit the dash button to sprint before you get up to speed. It starts a sprint, but it doesn't dash, and then you can't dash while sprinting. Kind of weird. But as you put this in here, this will do the laser thing. Because our assembly table here is laser and drill, it's allowed to do obviously laser and drill recipes. This is just a laser recipe, so that works just fine. And look, 16 free advanced pressure tubes. So this thing produces 14 generator. Oh, okay. The rainbow generator produces up to 25 million RF a tick, but as you can see, in order for it to do anything, you must be running all 15 other. Wait, no, it must have been 16, because this thing is made from 16 different generators. Oh, it's not listing the nether star generator because my nether star generator is running. You must be running all 16 other extra utilities generators somewhere. I think the generator I'm not sure if it's either somewhere on the server or if it has to be linked to you and running somewhere on the server. But as you can see here, our rainbow generator right now is not running because we have 14 generators that are simply not placed down at all, and one, the ender generator, which is not running even though we have it placed. So that's all the time we have for today, but next time we will come back and try to get this rainbow generator running by automating the process of running all of these generators and then hook it up to some type of redstone control so that we can say, you know, turn them on or off as needed, because we will definitely not need the power output of the rainbow generator. At least that much. 25 million RF a tick is a tremendous amount of power, and we can't even dream of sipping on that. But we could use it to make power to replace our current nether star generator, which makes something like 12,000. I think it's up to 3 speed upgrades. Hold on, so it's 4,000 with 0. So with 3, it's 16,000 RF a tick. That's a fair bit of power, but it's, you know, 16,000 to 25,000 is a, like, over 1000x jump. It's like a 1400x jump in power production. That's quite a bit. But a couple of these generators here are more difficult to automate than the rest. But we'll see what exactly that process entails tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.